Ladies and gentlemen, we are gathered here to mourn the sad passing of Kid Flips, who cowered his last bunger in the most recent season of CBW. Oh, spoiler by the way, but also it's been out for over a month, so shrug. He was the best of men, killed by the brat-verst of men, his rising star extinguished by sabotage and milk-based treachery. Rest in peace, you crazy diamond. But Kid Flips isn't the only wrestling character to die in Kayfabe. A surprising number of people to grace a wrestling ring have shuffled off this mortal coil, staying alive in real life, but being pronounced dead in Kayfabe. And hey, at least talking about these deaths makes a nice change from actual real-life news of wrestlers passing before their time being so unremittingly bleak. Be safely assured that none of these people actually died. Although, some of them are actually dead now. Oh. I'm Adam, hailing from partsFUNknown. Here are 10 wrestling stars who died in Kayfabe. And while you're here, we would appreciate it if you could help us stay alive by subscribing to partsFUNknown. That one didn't feel right. Hello, I'm Adam from No Rolls Barred. We have just launched No Rolls Barred's very first Kickstarter. What are we kickstarting? A limited series of in-person Blood on the Clock Tower games. Back in May, we released an in-person Clock Tower session. We went kind of crazy with it. But we want to make more! And that's why we need Kickstarter. The complete goals that we have are, if we hit $75,000, we'll make 2 episodes. If we hit $105,000, we'll make 4 episodes. If we hit $130,000, we'll make 6 episodes. Now, the campaign will run throughout all of July, terminating on July 30th. We've made it so there's basically one main tier with the lion's share of all the bonuses. It costs $40, and we basically want everyone to just pick that one and have put most of the bonuses there so that most people get them. So head on over to the Kickstarter page, check out what we've got planned, check out some of the rewards, and if you're able, we'd love you to back the series. We would love to make it. I genuinely think the pilot was the best thing we've ever done on the channel. And last thing, get on board. Number 10, Conan Lucha Underground. Get used to hearing the words Lucha Underground on this list. It's a bloody wrestler abattoir over there, or at least it was, until Lucha Underground itself died a death back in 2018. For those of you who don't know, Lucha Underground was the not very well run but ludicrously entertaining grindhouse wrestling promotion steeped in movie tropes with the best backstage promos in the history of wrestling. Everyone involved was from a different B-movie, the masked killer, the astronaut, alien sort of thing, a actual dragon, the mob boss at the head of it all. It was all very silly, and its silliness was established very early on with its first on-screen death. Conan is a very large, very big name indeed in Lucha Libre history, being at one time AAA's answer to Hulk Hogan. He never quite made it in WWE, saying a strong no thank you to the Max Moon gimmick, but he's popped up in WCW, TNA, AEW as DJ Conan. He was also, as you'd expect, in Lucha Underground, has the honor of being the first wrestler to be killed in the promotion's history, being bashed in the head with a rock by Katrina, the evil manager to the death-obsessed Mil Muertes. Conan was bundled into a coffin, and while no one expected him to be actually dead, he never came back and was confirmed as a missing person in later seasons. Number 9, Edge. There are many things underneath a WWE ring. Garbage cans, kendo sticks, a courtroom for little people, tables, lots of stuff. But one thing that's a shade more dramatic than the other items on this list is hell. Hell is under there. Underneath every WWE ring is a portal to an actual Christian depiction of hell. A surprising number of people have been dragged through the ring to some symbolic representation of the underworld. It happened to Zack Ryder, Seth Rollins, Daniel Bryan, except it was Hell's Barbershop apparently, Kane, Diesel. Lots of people have been to hell, but by far the most fatal visit belonged to Edge. SummerSlam 2008 at the end of a Hell in a Cell match, and remember, after cell matches is when Taker likes most to literally murder people. Hello, Big Boss fan. Mark BQ Barbecue tossed Edge through the ring before the hole erupted in flames, implying Edge had been either sent to hell or just straight up burned alive, before then vanishing from our screens for 4 whole months because he was dead, you see. Number 8, Dragon Chikara. Chikara was a very silly, very fun wrestling promotion up until the point where it closed down because the laughter had instantly stopped. The promotion was host to a bunch of very, very stupid gimmicks indeed, including ants, kaiju, the Olsen twins, not those ones, a communist cow called Moscow, and of course, Dragon, a piss take of wrestlers who put dragon in their name, Super Dragon, Ultimo Dragon, by being just an actual dragon. Apparently Eddie Kingston used to compete as Dragon from time to time. Wrestling, eh? Anyway, the reason why this cuddly mascot is on the list is because he's dead. During a match for the Chikara sister promotion Wrestling is Fun, Oleg the Usurper took Dragon's head clean off his shoulders with a lariat before pinning him. Of course, it's still a wrestling match to win. It was a legit decapitation. Dragon was dead and has not been seen since. Number 7, Paul Bearer. I know December to Dismember gets a lot of hate in the wrestling world, widely regarded as the worst WWE pay-per-view of all time, so bad it got Paul Heyman sacked and killed any future WWE ECW pay-per-views. But I'd like to make the case that Great American Bash 2004 is worse. The undercard was the opposite of stacked, featuring matches like Luther Reigns versus Charlie Haas, Mordecai versus Hardcore Holly, and Kenzo Suzuki versus Billy Gunn. The show saw Eddie Guerrero lose the WWE Championship to JBL on a fucking technicality, and the main event was Undertaker versus the Dudley Boys, a grim day in history, earning the show the Wrestling Observer Award for Worst Major Wrestling Show of the Year. Best/worst of all, the main event was also a concrete crypt match, with the stip being that if Taker lost, Paul Bearer, who was being held prisoner in a Perspex box at ringside, would be, checks notes, drowned in cement. Thought Vince Russo left WWE in '99, but I guess his spirit lived on. Bearers didn't, though, because even though the Phenom won the match, he chose to murder his manager anyway, because reasons. Flipping the switch and filling the box with cement, covering Bearer's head completely. WWE got cold feet on depicting actual death on pay-per-view, upgrading Paul's condition to alive shortly after the show. But no, he didn't, because he drowned in cement, because that's what happens when you tie someone to a chair in a box and fill it with cement. Jesus wept. Number 6, Big Rick. After leaving WWE with the stupid accolade of being the last ever ECW champion, Ezekiel Jackson appeared in Lucha Underground as Big Rick, a one-eyed, cigar-chomping badass this promotion ruled. Cross between Jax from Mortal Kombat and Snake Plissken, Big Rick was one of the first main antagonists of the promotion, but disappeared between seasons 1 and 2, largely due to travel conflicts, and also maybe to do with the fact that while in front of the cameras, Lucha Underground was a slick promotion with a unique feel and a die-hard fan base, it was a bit of a shambles of unfair contracts and mismanagement backstage. Big Rick vanished from screens, with his disappearance being explained not by injury, not by jumping ship to another company, but by the fact he was murdered by the Disciples of Death in an issue of Lucha Underground Comics. For real, the promotion has its own comics miniseries. Look, this is Big Rick dying. It's amazing. Number 5, 2 Dimes. NXT is colourful now, not sure if you knew. In a bizarre case of a company fixing what isn't broken by breaking it, WWE took the prestigious hardcore wrestling division of their programming and made it for kids, including new generation era style comedy gimmicks, more colourful paint than the most deadly of art attacks, and also apparently murder. For real, someone died in NXT mere weeks ago. Tony D'Angelo is an Italian-American mobster, you see, Baba da Bupi, flanked by some wise guy Magabagoons called Stacks and 2 Dimes. The wrestler who played 2 Dimes, Troy Donovan, was recently released from WWE following a vague policy violation. His ongoing absence from our screens was explained by a segment featuring Stacks and D'Angelo on a bridge, throwing Dimes' watch into the river below, saying that he had gone to sleep with the fishes. People are entitled to their own thoughts on this new, more flamboyant era of NXT, but it is worth pointing out that during the days when NXT was a gritty, more combat sports style promotion, no one was murdered by the mob. Holy tonal shift, Batman. Number 4, Al Wilson. I'm guessing that of all the ways it's possible to leave this life, being fucked to death by Dawn Marie is probably not the absolute worst, but I don't want to speak from inexperience. In 2002, in one of the most infamous women's feuds of the Ruthless Aggression era, Dawn Marie played mind games with Tori Wilson by entering into an evidently intensely physical relationship with her father, Al, which is a fantastic workplace prank that I'll definitely be pulling on Ollie come next April Fool's Day. Call me Mr. Davis. Despite all the anguish that the romantic affair put Tori through, Al and Dawn end up getting married on SmackDown in their underwear, with Al's big granddad pants stuffed with a giant comedy prop erection. The mind of Vince McMahon, everyone. Don't look directly at it. Shortly before the Royal Rumble 2003, Al Wilson, played by Tori Wilson's actual real-life father, let's never forget, died of a heart attack on his and Dawn's honeymoon owing to complications from loads of sex. Sadly, Al Wilson actually passed away in real life in 2019, just days before Tori was inducted into WWE's Hall of Fame. Number 3, The Undertaker. I mean, he's the dead man. He's literally been dead since the day he walked slowly into the company at Survivor Series 1990 caked in zombie makeup. Like, he's fundamentally undead, but that still hasn't stopped Mortician Adams from dying a whole bunch of times in WWE. At the 94 Royal Rumble, he was loaded into a casket before his dead spirit was seen ascending to the heavens, where it presumably got caught on the roof of the arena like a lost balloon. He's been buried alive 3 separate times, once by Mankind at In Your House Buried Alive, once by Kane at Survivor Series 2003, and then again by the Big Red Machine at Bragging Rights 2010 with the help of the Nexus. Turns out Kane bloody loves killing The Undertaker, with perhaps the most dramatic time being the time he trapped him in a casket at the 98 Royal Rumble and set the whole thing on fire. No one has made such a good living out of dying as The Undertaker. Number 2, Vince McMahon. Oh man, a fascinating, silly, and at the same time horrifying summer in the history of wrestling. In 2007, the big wrestling storyline of the year was going to be the death of Vince McMahon. He was going to die in Kayfabe. His brother Rod was going to become an on-screen character. People were going to battle for the company. It was going to run all the way until WrestleMania. And of course, infamously, the storyline got as far as actually killing Vince. After a bizarre episode of Raw which saw a Vince McMahon appreciation night go horribly wrong, Vince entered into a fugue state, walked to his limo, got in, and the limo exploded. WWE.com pronounced Vince dead. All the announcers pronounced him dead. Steph came out the next week on Raw and air quotes cried about Vince being dead. The SmackDown after he died, the wrestlers stood on the ramp. They did a 10-bell salute before interspersing the episode with tearful talking heads like they did when Eddie Guerrero died in real life, all of which is aged absolutely awfully considering what was about to happen. 2 weeks after Vince's death, the episode of Raw was scheduled to be his funeral, which was hastily scrapped when the news broke of the Chris Benoit suicide and murders, forcing Vince to return to TV to try to handle the sudden, horrifying tonal shift in programming. For the sake of this list, maybe let's end with something a little lighter. And number 1, Matanza Cueto. Look, there's just so many deaths in Lucha Underground, I'm going to have to combine a lot of the rest. So the promotion had a Vince McMahon-type character called Dario Cueto, who enjoyed extreme violence, screaming the words ladder match, and looking like history's worst uncle. Dario Cueto not only owned Lucha Underground, but also had a monster brother, yes, called Matanza Cueto, aka Jeff Cobb, in one of pro wrestling's legit scariest masks. Under the direction of Dario, Matanza killed many people in Lucha Underground, including eating a man's face. I missed this show. Like Vince, Dario was eventually killed on screen, shot to death by an assailant before the same actor would return to the show the next season playing Dario's father Antonio, and then Dario would get magically resurrected with a key, I think. Matanza, Dario Cueto's brother, actually did meet a demise though, and honestly, stay with me here, when Johnny Mundo, aka John Morrison, got a hold of the Gauntlet of the Gods, basically the Infinity Gauntlet, used it to beat Matanza down before Black Lotus, whose parents Matanza killed, used it to rip out his heart. Cool. And that's our list. What fictional wrestling death is your favorite? Let us know in the comments. Don't forget to like and share this video around if you enjoyed it. Make sure you subscribe to partsFUNknown for more silly wrestling content. And never forget to jam that jam.